everyone. My name's AJ. I am refuting Amar's speech, and his proposition was Russia will fail to protect international travelers during the Soccer World Cup, which will be held in Russia, summer 2018. And his claims were that homosexual soccer fans won't receive a pleasant hospitality in Russia, opposing fans of the teams that Russia will play could face violence, and nationalistic characteristics of Russians cause racial abuse for foreigners. Then I'm going to argue his claims, and my claims are homosexual soccer fans can receive a pleasant hospitality in Russia. FIFA has a high security measure, and racism won't be tolerated at the Russia World Cup. So there was an article I read by Charlie Lesleu, and his article was called "I'm Gay and I Spent a Year Living in Russia," and it basically the title explains itself. He lived in Russia for a year as a homosexual, and he said that he only told his close friends that he was gay and didn't display anything out in public because he was afraid to get abused out in public. So he kind of just kept it under the radar. But because there was in Russia there was in 1993, until 1993 it was illegal to be gay. And then in 2013, they made it illegal to promote homosexuality. Then also, FIFA's anti-discrimination advisors are warning gay soccer fans that are going to the 2018 World Cup in Russia that displays of affection could be met with an aggressive response from intolerant locals. So basically, FIFA is giving a fair warning that if you're out displaying your homosexuality during the World Cup, that you could be heckled by fans and could face violence. So they kind of want you to be like the guy Charlie, just kind of not display it during the World Cup. Also, FIFA has a high security measure which will it'll help protect all the violence because that Russia will play, or the teams Russia will play. In 2016, there was a incident in France during the Euro 2016 when the Russians started a mass fight. They don't want that to happen again. So FIFA's president, Gianni Infantino, said that the upcoming World Cup would not be a war, as Russian authorities and Vladimir Putin are committed to ensuring safety amid fears of flame clashes. So FIFA knows about the Russian fans' violence history and is assuring fans that there will not be a war at the stadium. Also, the World Cup begins in June 14, and the local authorities are putting strict security procedures in place to control hooligans, including Russian fans who caused trouble at the 2016 European Championship. And as far as security for the 2018 FIFA World Cup is concerned, FIFA has complete trust in security arrangements and comprehensive security concept developed by the Russian authorities and the local organizing committee. A FIFA spokesperson told that to reviewers via email, and basically it's contradicting that there's not going to be violence at the 2018 World Cup in Russia. And also, racism won't be tolerated at the World Cup, although the FIFA president also stated that racism won't be tolerated at the World Cup, and he's adding that referees will have the power to stop or even abandon matches if discriminatory incidents take place. So the fans won't be happy if they stop the matches for their own behavior, if they're starting racial gestures. So basically that will be all on the fans if the match gets stopped or
Gesundheit. All right, well, the advocate's claims and secondary issues were laid out for us, so we know kind of where you're going, and you basically are going to make a counterclaim on each of those particular points, which is fine. You get to the first point when you're talking about how homosexuals are going to be treated in Russia, and you tell us this story about Charlie and the article that he wrote, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how that applies. It was very unclear. And then the follow-up point provides us with some factual data about what's going on in Russia. You know, that it was legal up until '93, and I assume that it's still not illegal, but what is illegal is anything that promotes homosexuality. I'm not sure if that's very clearly defined. If that covers public displays of affection, then maybe that is an issue that we need to worry about. FIFA's answer to this appears to be like Charlie, don't have any public displays of affection. I think that that's a little bit problematic as a response here. It's okay, but in essence, it's like telling people, you know, don't be who you are because you're someplace where that's not well liked, and that's kind of the argument that the advocate is making. So I'm not sure that that gets you as far as you want. If FIFA has to warn their fans not to engage in behavior that they might engage in a normal circumstance, that does seem to suggest that Russia's experience is going to be a little bit aberrant and that they're concerned about that. The security issue, I think, is probably a slightly stronger point. There are good reasons to believe that security would be important at these facilities and these competitions. The unpleasantness that France had with Russian fans in 2016, you in essence are saying that has kind of given them a warning to be extra on top of it and make sure that things are being carefully planned. And then you've got some data that talks about how carefully planned it all is. Of course, it's FIFA that's telling us how great things are going to be carefully planned, and trust us, we got it covered. We're working with Russian and the organizing body to make sure that these things don't happen. I think that's an okay argument, although it is a little bit self-serving and potentially biased. There's not really much evidence, or discussion of what the advocate's argument was on this point. Why is it that the advocate believes that this is going to be a potential problem? Other than the incidents that were previously referred to in France, I'm not exactly sure that there's a reason to believe that this is more likely to occur or going to be more widespread. The only thing that I think that the advocate said was, well, most of the tickets there are going to be sold to Russians, and I think there might be some suggestion there that, like you said later on, Russia wants to put on a good show and not have these problems, and Putin is committed to all this kind of stuff. This is an interesting thing that's going on this week, and I heard a little bit about it in the past few days. A lot of the European countries are talking about maybe using the World Cup and Russia's hosting of it as a retribution issue for the murder of former Soviet spies who are in Great Britain by the use of nerve toxins. And, so that kind of throws a wrinkle into this that maybe suggests that there would be a heightened reason maybe for Putin to be careful about these kinds of things, or maybe it's not going to happen at all. I'm not exactly sure which direction I'd go on that, but it does add some more context to the situation. So I'm not sure it's a point that you want to ignore, but I'm not exactly sure how it would fit in here. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. On the racism issue, we're back to the same sort of thing. What was the proof that the advocate suggested? And basically the argument is the Russians are all a bunch of racists, and they're going to have people there that they don't like, and so they're going to treat them rudely. Do we have any past examples of this sort of thing happening? Have the Russians hosted international activities before that have gone peacefully without these kinds of problems? I think that would be the kind of evidence that would apply best in this situation. You kind of fade out at the end. It sounds like you don't quite know how to finish up. You want a good summary, and let's just go back to those original points that you had. That homosexuals are going to be safe, they're going to be fine. FIFA's on top of the security issue, and the Russians have every reason to try and minimize any racial animosity that's going on there. Just kind of remind us of what your points are. That'll be a more effective conclusion. All right, thank you.